Gentlemen, never forget, it's always best practice to wrap your post. In construction, you're bound to run into support posts. They're not that sexy, so you wrap them up with some cladding, some material, many options, but let me show you what I think is the best way to get the job done. So what we have here is a 4-ply 2x6 post supporting a little teeny landing. What do I mean by 4-ply? The number of boards laminated together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2x6. So that gives you a 6-inch by 5.5-inch post that needs to be wrapped, because if you'll notice in the background, we've got a bit of a tin cladding theme going on here. And you don't want that sticking out like a sore thumb. So I've seen many ways to do it. Everything from lumber, vinyl products. My favorite go-to, what we're gonna use today, steel cladding. So what we're gonna start out with here is a steel flashing that's been bent, formed to fit the post, that's gonna leave no exposed wood. So let's measure up and cut the first piece. So often what you're gonna see in our neck of the woods here is an aluminum type flashing in a 2-piece design that is meant to clip together, and it has cleats on either side. My opinion of these is low. Yep, still wintertime out here. I'm gonna risk the cold for a second to, I wanna shove a section in this video to show you what the cleat style of post covers that I was telling you about, what they look like. So this is deck posts that are supporting a beam. This one's still intact. There's the cleat, the 2 halves, but I'll show you on this one. This is no fault of the post covering. This is the fault of the guy that installed them. That'd be me. There was a nail up top, a color matched nail, just holding that together. Well, it pulled through the aluminum from expansion and contraction over time, and then it popped loose. And we just had a bit of wind, and the wind shimmied this one loose. Partly why I'm not a big fan. With the ones we are going to install, or have installed, or wherever this makes it into the video, this can't happen. Much tougher. 1/2 like this. See how much flimsier that material is? Very light. And then you got up here, so the way that works is you put your first half on, and it's held, there's a roofing nail. It's got the cleat. That slips inside of that. You pop a fastener up in the top on both sides to hold it together. The downfall, the material's much lighter. The heat cycles, expansion and contraction, wreak havoc on this lighter duty material. Less fasteners, so what we're doing on this post in the shop, I like much better. So the first thing you do is measure the height of the post you're trying to cover. Now, don't get greedy here. Give yourself a little bit of clearance. We're gonna call this a shy 8 feet. What's a shy 8 feet, you ask? Well, whatever you interpret that as. We're gonna cut her an 1/8 inch shy, because in the case of an exterior application, depending on the weather, you're gonna have your post, and then you're gonna have an overlapping flashing to direct water down, and you'll see by the style of this post, there's no opportunity for water infiltration. And then I like to leave the bottoms open where possible, so if there's moisture inside, it can drain out. And in other situations where there's chance of water ingress from the bottom or snow building up, then you can caulk around, silicone around the bottom, seal that baby up. So we've got our measurement, shy 1/8 inch. Let's cut our piece, and then I'll show you why I'm a big fan of this design. You hear the purr of the furnace in the background there? Not much I can do about it, but I don't mind. So 8 feet, and now let's not be greedy. We'll give ourselves an 1/8 of an inch clearance. Mark them both at the same time. We're gonna have to track ourselves down a square, which I have here. Now, I take no credit for this design. The local sheet metal shop where I get all my flashings made from, not only are they wonderful people, but they have a tremendous amount of knowledge. I had done a many post before with the cleat style post wrap with more or less a degree of success, but this is a far superior look. So I'm grateful to those folks for showing me what this is all about. Nothing makes you look like a wiser man than pulling out the tape for a just in case, double check, 8 feet minus an eighth, 8 feet minus an eighth. Because, well, when a flashing is too short, she's too short. The way it goes. Alrighty. Had a lapse in judgment there using those short snips. I wanted a big pair of shears like this. Cleaner. Using a pair of shears that are too short for the task you're trying to complete, well, it's a bit like pissing in the wind. The outcome is not ideal. All right, cut from the same side here. Nice and clean. Go ahead and finish these off one at a time. That just breaks off there like that. Nice and simple. Slide that out of the way. Always good to have more than a couple sawhorses. I got 4 on the go. I find with long material, that way, no matter how you cut it, it's never gonna fall and collapse the sawhorse, cause you trouble. Just another thing to eliminate a second set of hands. Just a little note too about when you're getting flashings and such made. If you're not dealing with a shop that you're very familiar, a lot of times in trades, people just assume that you know what you're talking about. So if they'll ask you how much you need, and you say, well, I need 1 piece of this and I need 1 piece of that. Not all colors of sheet stock come in the same length. Some colors come in 8 feet, some come in 10 feet. Depends on the supplier or where they're buying it from. So you wanna be conscious. If you need an 8-foot flashing made, make sure you ask. You know, are your sheets 8 feet or are they 10 feet? I need 9.5-foot flashing. Can I have that made in 1 piece in this particular color? Because say you need white, well, the supplier we deal with, I think there's 4 or 5 different colors of white. So if you can get it in a 10-foot sheet and make that flashing all in 1 length, then your outcome of your job is a lot sexier. So where am I headed with this? These were 10-footers. We only needed 8-foot. So I have a couple pieces here that I can show you close up exactly how this works and why I like it so much. All right, back at the post here. So basically you have yourself a 2-piece system here, 2 pieces of flashing. I'm gonna take this one and it slides over top. Now, of course, this is very simple. There's no way to mix this up because 1 dimension is 5.5 and 1 dimension is 6 inches. So it only fits one way. That's gonna slip over like that. Then this one, the opposite direction, is going to slip over top like so. Fit like that. And then I'll bring you in for a closer look as to how this fastens together and how clean it looks when it's all done. Now from the top, you can see this is in this fashion and it slides over top like so on this side. And then the same thing on this side. The long leg of the flashing goes over top of the short leg on that side. And what you end up with is a very clean fit. So there's your long leg. So what they do is the depth of your post, this 6 inches, is measured from this corner out to the edge here, like that. They bend this just slightly in a few degrees with that safety hem, so you have a nice finished rolled edge. Then the short leg of this flashing from the other side sticks in that post about 1.5 inches, and they overlap. You push them tight like that, and you end up with this very beautiful line, uniform all the way to the bottom. And then as far as fasteners go, I like to go basically every couple feet or 18 inches, depending on the post that's going on. And I'll show you that. You pre-drill a hole, and then a color match fastener will hold this all together. It's durable, and it just has a clean finish, much cleaner. I think the cleat look has a more of a dated look to it. Don't get me even started on hardy board and all this kind of stuff. Lot of work. I personally don't do that. I got nothing against the product, but if you've got to cover up a post, metal's the way to go. Okay, for guys that are more visual learner like I am, just in case somebody wants to pause it, print it out, take a note. This is your short leg. This is the long leg. At the end of the long legs on both sides of the flashing, this is a 1/2 inch long with your safety hem rolled back and just turned in a few degrees. So when you clamp these together, it makes that tight seal while maintaining the clearance for the rest of the post. So you'll need to know this dimension, and when you get this flashing made, that dimension runs all the way from here out to the end of that turned in piece. And then on this alternate direction, dimension, it goes from here to here. That's what you're gonna need to know to tell your sheet metal guy how to make one of these. Turned in, safety hem. These you can go with or without a hem. In my case, I always get them with a hem. It keeps it more rigid. And so that's basically what it looks like. You need to know your 2 dimensions. This is the real key, this little turned in piece to make it turn out super nice. Okay, let's get ready for the real deal. Now, I always put my cut ends to the bottom. Cut into the bottom, because that's visually where it's most pleasing to not notice it. This one slides in from the back side. Take the sticky note off. It's best to start it on an angle, like so. Get it underneath, and then see if you can't roll it up into place if you haven't cut it too dang tight. There we go, like a glove. Just lay out the screw pattern on the other side. Now, a wise choice would be to lay out the screw pattern on the flashings when they're on the sawhorses. Is what you should do. So like I said, I go every 2 feet. The only way I deviate from that on these type of flashings is just kind of how it's fitting, you know? You gotta use your judgment. Is it fitting okay? You know, does it seem like it's kind of flopping around? Does it need a little bit of adjustment? Maybe it needs more screws. The worst thing you can do with steel metal flashings is kind of force it, and then you get the wave pattern going and everything. Oh geez, their warranty on that tape measure, everything just goes to heck on you. The other thing I like to do, if you're dealing with suppliers, guys that are making stuff, the gentleman that makes this stuff for me, that's his career. That is his craft. I am coming to him for help, essentially, every time I come there to get flashings made. So even if I just getting these post wraps made, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. I say, hey buddy, I need these post wraps made, this many, this color. I will always run the scenario by him. Always. So oh, I'm doing this job, I do these many posts, but it has to interact with these other flashings. Do you have any ideas? Because this guy's got a lot more experience than I do. So keep an open mind when you're ordering materials or dealing with suppliers, you know. It's how you learn things. That's how I learned this detail, and how numerous other times come up with an idea or led me in a direction where I go, oh, or I could do this. Could you make this? And I go, yeah, I can do that. The job turns out better. I think the suppliers and the tradespeople that you're working with gain more mutual respect. You get better service because they feel like you're making an effort to improve yourself, and you kind of know what you're talking about, and things just go smoother in general. So now that I'm done throwing my tape measure around, we got a pre-drill. Now, pre-drilling, you just have a bit that's a little bit smaller diameter than the screw that you're going to use. One layer. Oop. Walked off on me a bit there. That's okay. Second layer. Now, what am I saying? 1 layer, 2 layer? The point of the pre-drill is to get you through the layers of steel, because remember, we're going through several layers. You have your safety hem, which is essentially 2 layers of metal doubled up. You're on a bit of an angle, so you're pushing through, so don't push too hard, because when you hit that next layer, like I did there, that drill bit might want to walk off a little bit because you're at a little bit of an angle. So 1 layer, 2 layer, and then the 3rd layer for the flashing, the leg of the flashing underneath, You just want to get through those layers of metal. You don't need to pre-drill into the wood. You pre-drill into the wood, the screw has a lot less to bite into. You want purchase on the wood. You do not want it to distort the steel. If somebody tells you you don't need to pre-drill on something that is a 100% finished piece, like this cladding, you tell them to get out of town. That's not how you operate your business. You're running a tight ship and you pre-drill. Next up, of course, is your color matched screw, which I'm a huge fan of. I like to keep an assortment of different colored screws in the trailer. You just want that snug to get this to purchase flat on the other flashing. With metal, if you suck this screw down, because this is built on a bit of an angle, any flashing, it will distort, and distortion looks terrible. Gentle, gentle, gentle. You could almost put that in with a screwdriver. I got a couple left to do here. Gentle pre-drill again. Now, like I said, if you were doing this in a fashion where this was outdoors and you really wanted to make sure that these were sealed from the elements, once you got your one side on with silicone, I'd only silicone or caulk one side at a time. So put your first flashing on, run a bead down, because you're gonna tack it in place, because on the leg that's hidden, you can tack it in place with whatever, a stapler, like a stapler or some roofing nails or whatever, because those fasteners will be hidden. Once you've got that piece on and you run your bead of silicone on it, you put the next piece on. Don't try and run sealant on both seams at the same time. Leave this one, because right now, if we take this clamp off of here, get rid of that, you just got this action. See? You've got movement. Now from top to bottom, you can just safely run the tip of your caulking gun in there, run your bead of silicone, pop her together, screw it, even pre-drill all your holes first, then put the sealant in, pop these, dun, 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 done deal. Anytime I have ever, oh, I'm choking on sawdust, have to edit that out. Anytime you try and put sealant on too many things at one time, it only leads to one thing: sticky disappointment. Probably how a one-night stand ends for some people. Oh man, I'll tell you, I spend so much time by myself, I always think I'm funny. If I had another piece of simple advice that no one ever gave to me, but I've given it to myself a lot of times through experience. When you're working with colored flashing or any sort of finish work, don't push hard on things. You go, what the heck is he talking about? Don't push hard on things. When you're pre-drilling or putting screws in, gentle touch. Is you're just pushing and pushing screws, sheet metal screws, that kind of thing. What happens when you slip? Well, you don't just do a little scratch and a little damage. You've created a disaster. You've ruined a flashing, or you've marred a project. Don't push hard on things. Be gentle. Just a feather touch, you know. I don't do a ton of it, but the little bit I do, I know that helps. So there you have it. Just off the floor a hair, really clean. So this is the main approach to this door, and these are the things to keep in mind when you're deciding which way to have the flashings made and which way to install them. So this is the main direction of approach to what will be a bathroom. So you're coming this way, or people are going to be standing out, you know, maybe in this direction, working and doing whatever. This is the view of the post. It's seamless from this side. You see absolutely nothing. We've got this seam hidden on the back side, and then we have a seam over here hidden towards the wall. You know, obviously you can view 360 degrees around a post, so you're never going to hide the seams altogether, but you tell me that that isn't a seam you'd want to look at anyways. Nicely spaced spacers. And the outcome is a gorgeous profile where you have just this little bend, a tight fit, a nice seam, color match fasteners. So you're looking at a smooth, sleek profile. There's nowhere for clothes to catch. There's nowhere for water to penetrate if this was outside. Just an all-around great look. So big thanks to the sheet metal guys that keep me in supply, because, you know, without them, well, I'm merely just making it up as I go. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. I don't know what the next adventure is going to be, but certainly will be an adventure. I'll catch you later.